Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rise Up with Ivy and Calla.
Happy Friday, where spirituality meets practicality. And I'm Ivy.
And I am Calla.
It's been a busy week.
Yes.
Conversations.
We've been talking a lot. We've been talking a lot about our authentic self, maybe?
Yeah. And how to not live according to someone else's aspirations.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. How do we apply that? Realistically, how do we be us? Tell me how to be me, Ivy.
So for me, it was when I started to be myself was with the shop. Until I took on too much of the role of Ivy, where I kind of lost myself in a way, if that makes any sense.
But even in the shop, you had a certain persona.
Oh, but let's be honest, when people walked in the door, but you inside specifically could see where I was in my mood prior to that. If somebody walked in the door, hey, I'm Ivy,
yes.
How are you? But when they left that door or before they even came in, how many times would you see me in my room just kind of in a place?
Right.
There I was my authentic self. But again, expectation is when you go into a spiritual place, you're in your own problematic area. You're coming to look for some uplifting, So I think, honestly, you probably were the first friend and you and I've had conversations that I truly said, I'm going to be me with. And it took a long time. I mean, you look at our friendship, it has evolved over the years. For me, it's about trust. If I show you who I truly am, how long is it going to be before you're out of my life?
Right.
It's a trust. It's a trust within me. It's a trust within you. Or I'm going to open up and you're going to get mad and you're going to tell everybody what I've ever shared. I now got to the point where I really don't care about that. That does not bother me. I've really worked. I can remember an old relationship once saying, oh, I'm going to tell your dad you do da 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 da. Okay, I was a grown-ass woman.
Right.
So guess what? Now, if anything comes up ever like that or something, I'm making sure all that's out. Like my deep, dark secrets, my kids even know that. Guess what? If you you get that stuff out, nobody can hold it above you. You're not held captive. So to me, it was being able to speak some of those things and not just keep them inside my head of things that either created, added to, however you want to word my personality. And I mean, even you and I've talked, I've said, I don't want fair weather friends. Either you're my friend or you're not. Look, I'm going to piss you off at some point in time. We're not going to agree at some point in time, but that's what friends are supposed to do. They're supposed to push you, not disappear. So it was the disappear part still kind of messes with me, but the other aspect doesn't as much.
So I was looking up little graphics pictures online, and it says, don't change so people like you. Be yourself and the right people will love you.
Right. But a lot of times, I was watching something on TV. It was lighthearted. People were changing because they wanted those people. They feel like they're the right people to like them. Again, it's what we put in. And I'm so excited about next week being Valentine's week. And we're going to be talking about all different kinds of love. Not just romantic love. I'm not worried about talking about that, but the most important love, which is self-love. Think about being in school and they're the popular kids. Why am I not good enough to be in that?
Right.
What's wrong with me? What's this? But you know what? Those popular kids are going through some of the same things, and they're putting on those biggest faces.
Mm-hmm.
I will say a lot of people that have walked the path, or walking the path of spirituality, no matter what path they're in, definitely felt like that outsider.
Yeah.
So really, the outsider is a good place to be.
And I think of growing up, and I wasn't part of I wasn't part of any cliques, but I knew who was there. I talked to them, you know, I had conversations with the jocks, with the cool girls, with the nerds, you know. But everybody, looking back, everybody knew who I was. You know, I wasn't part of that particular group,
Right.
but they still knew me.
Right.
They knew who I was. They knew my name.
Right.
And not everybody can go back in their life and say that. Some people, they just, you know, they were nobody in school.
Right. And that, or they felt like they were a nobody, or they chose, it's a hard place, you know, to say, I felt like I was a mistake, like everything. So I was trying, you know, I was an A student, but I wasn't smart kids. You know what I mean? I was a cheerleader, but I didn't fit here. I was part of the clubs, but I didn't, you know what I mean? There was no real place where success was on top. Think about, we have the, we kind of laugh now where kids get trophies for everything.
Yes.
Kind of go back and forth on that. No, you know, there's that part of, oh, here's your participation trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, everybody gets a trophy? That doesn't create some sort of, because it doesn't create the competition.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do you try to be the best version of you? We're so busy learning to be the best version against someone else that we never really learn how to be the best version of ourselves. Oh, my ear is ringing. So I'll take that as a good thing. We're constantly, look, I'm competing, whether intentional or unintentional. We are both here and we're elevating each other up. We wouldn't call it competition,
right.
But you're going to push me and I'm going to push you. Okay. Whether we do it verbally or non-verbally, all of a sudden then we're like, okay, I got to add into this. So, but when we're growing up, we're trying to beat the other team, the other person. We're trying to make valedictorian. What, you know what I mean? There's all this stuff to be here. And when we don't hit this, then we feel like we're not good enough. And I think that's everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've seen levels of that with my children. They're all young adults now. And each one of them have fought with competition in their own way. And it's hard. It's a difficult place to be. It's easier now, me looking back at how I was younger. Obviously, it's easier now than me being in that moment. Why don't they like me? You know, why?
What's wrong?
What is wrong with me? You know, I'm here. I'm confident. I love myself. Why don't other people?
Right. And I didn't have the I'm confident and I love myself. But I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm a good person. And you know what? I caught myself saying the same thing last year, a year and a half ago, when it had to do with a family member. Why am I not good enough? You know, the person that you need to be in competition with is yourself. You know, I know that we've told the boys, look, I don't care if in your career you want to be a burger flipper, but be the best darn burger flipper you can be. Don't ever settle for mediocrity within yourself. Always strive to be the best version. And sometimes the best version is, like we said the other day, laying on the couch and not moving. Right. Sometimes that is the best version for that moment.
Right.
You know, but compete with you. Challenge you.
Set yourself up goals, personal goals that you can achieve. And they don't have to be big and extravagant goals. I mean, just small ones.
Check yourself on what your goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Are they your goals?
Mm.
Or were they somebody else's goals? Part of the reason why I told the boys after they graduated high school and went to college of my aspirations for you are no longer your reality is I was so busy trying to reach my parents' aspirations, specifically my dad, right? I wanted to be like, Daddy, look, I'm a good girl. When I would get a big promotion at my previous job, my dad knew before my husband. And it took me a long time to realize, well, wait a minute. Why am I telling him before I'm telling my husband? Because I was looking for validation and accolades of, good girl, honey, I'm proud of you. I was trying to reach what I perceived as his aspirations for me. When in all actuality, those weren't.
Right.
I put that perception of his aspirations on me.
Yeah.
That's not even actual. It goes, remember when one of your daughters said, my mom thinks this? I'm like, how do you know if you asked her? Mm-hmm. Same thing. We become reactive to what we think.
Our imagination.
Hint, 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 daughter. But we do. We react to okay, so we're going to connect the dots here. We react to what we perceive somebody is thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what we're thinking about ourselves.
Yes.
That daughter who said, my mom thinks I'm a disappointment. I was like, nah, that's not what she thinks about you. Have you asked her? But you think you're a disappointment. Mm. So we're projecting those. So realistically, we have to really kind of be honest again with ourselves, peel back those layers. Why am I doing this?
That goes back to last week.
And the week before.
Peeling back those layers and ask, why do I feel like I'm a disappointment?
Right. Is it because, society says we need to do this? Like I turned down a business opportunity, and the hardest person for me to tell was my dad. I am 50 years old. Hey, Dad, I turned down a job. He was like, okay. But I was that little girl, again, I didn't want to disappoint him. I wanted him to be proud. Mm-hmm. That sounds a little weird, though, doesn't it? At 50 years old, I told my dad I turned down a position. Why? Why is that such a big deal? It's what we've been conformed to believe. Do you remember? Okay, so we're not talking about the actors that played these by any means, but look at the Huxtables. I mean, look at Tool Time. I don't even Home Improvement.
Roseanne.
Oh yeah. But look for okay, take away Roseanne because it doesn't fit where I was going. Okay. But those 80s, 90s shows really showed. I mean, the Huxtables, one was doctor, one was a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Tim Taylor was a TV show, whatever thing host, and his wife worked for the journalism or something. Know. Everybody always in entertainment, they have these cool jobs, unless, Roseanne.
She was real.
She was real. But that was one of the first ones, but that was why it was so controversial too. Because we don't see the realness and, and things. Everything is fairy tales. Right. Which is what entertainment is supposed to be. I got laughing the other day. There's a movie out, and they used a lot of CGI in it. And so I was like, I can't watch that. They made him 18 times bigger than he's supposed to be. I'm like, he's like, that's not real. I'm like, but none of this is real. Like, not even the reality shows are real. But we forget that. Right. I think for me, I stopped watching a lot of TV 7 years ago. And I remember my brother was talking, he and his wife during COVID time was watching some doctor show. I don't know what it was. It's a nighttime show. It could have been Grey's Anatomy for all I know. But the COVID breakout came. Why do you want to watch what we're dealing with? It's not entertainment. We're putting these thoughts into our head again. It's subliminal thought processes.
See, now, I grew up loving Mork and Mindy.
Nanu.
There you go.
I like the Brady Bunch. But even, but a lot of it has shown what families were supposed to be. Think of even in the LGBTQ communities, we're just starting to see TV shows that are showing them.
Right.
The women empowerment stuff, we're just seeing really TV shows that are showing that. But it almost gets to a point that it gets so in your face that I feel like it does some of the opposite.
Reverse, yes.
The reverse, because you're like, really? It doesn't make sense for this point to be here.
Right. Yeah.
But again, I feel like technology, whether it be the phone, whether it be TV, whether it be the radio, whether it be our podcast that we're watching, music, it has the ability to influence our belief system strong.
Yes, definitely. How do we go about... Okay, we've talked about setting goals for ourselves, because at the end of the day, we need to, this is an internal thing. We don't need, the validation of other people is not something that we are supposed to be striving for.
Even though we do, because I'll be like, I even ask, hey, I need some validation one way or the other.
Right. It's not supposed to be the validation of others that we are striving for. It's the validation for ourselves. It's the approval of ourselves. So setting little goals, what else can you recommend that we do to help ourselves?
Block out the noise.
Mm.
For me, unfollowing people, or first I unfollowed, then I defriended if it continued. But I unfollow a lot that I know bring those feelings up. For me.
But wouldn't that feelings, if they were brought up to you, wouldn't you be able to, wouldn't that be the opportunity for you to acknowledge it?
It sure is. I'm not saying run away from it, but I'm unfollowing it realistically because it's pushing me to a place. Okay, for me, if I see that somebody's posting, excuse me, and they're feeling, and I'm getting that feeling of insecurity for whatever reason. If it's valid, I will definitely unfollow. If it's in my head, I'll make a note of it, unfollow, and start to work through it. I got a tickle in my throat.
That's that communication, that throat chakra.
It's on the right side. I know. I was thinking that as we're talking. I'm like, but yes and no. But you don't have to surround yourself by the stuff that's making you insecure all the time. You need a break from it. And I think that's where I'm going. Part of it is, if I'm feeling this big, why do I need to keep putting myself in a position to see that I'm feeling this big?
Right.
Now, I unfollow, and then unfollow button's 30 days. So, or snooze it, and then I'm working through that. If it still continues to go, then there's something there. Talk to a friend.
Talk to somebody who you trust. And
if you don't trust anyone, reach out to us. We're here. But I'm going to tell you, that's the big piece for me with you is being able to have someone who can help to make sure that I'm not overlooking at things or looking into it so much that I'm creating a whole different problem.
That imagination running wild, and it's not even that serious. Yeah.
Right. It could be something really minor.
Yeah.
And then it just continues to go and go and go. And then it becomes something major. It's just like the seed. You put a little bit of water on it, it starts to sprout. You put a lot, and it just grows.
Right.
And that's for good things that are to our benefits and things that are not so much of our benefit.
Yeah.
So what else?
Oh, I like the idea of the noise, blocking out the noise as much as you can. And so we've said goal setting, blocking out the noise, having that conversation with somebody.
And it can be a therapist too.
Yes.
I highly recommend
Therapy has such a taboo, is such a taboo topic, especially from what I've seen, especially in spirituality, because again, it goes back to what I said before. People in the outside world see those who are spiritual as higher than they need to be, and the know-all and the see-all, and that's definitely not what I am. And so when I do need the help, therapy will help you.
My only hard part is we know what we need to do a lot of times.
But not
we
all the
just don't
times.
know how to apply
Right.
it.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I know where anxiety comes from. I went to therapy not too long ago because when Josh got sick, and because my anxiety was up, and the therapist was like, "Do you understand anxiety?" I was like, "Yeah, it's looking into the future, creating these events that don't exist." Well, then what are you doing here? Because for whatever reason, I am not able to apply it. That therapist was not for me. I found a different one that I absolutely loved. But again, it's getting it out, having that a way. And if you really don't feel like you want to talk with somebody, at least write it down.
Yeah.
Having that conversation.
I know
yourself.
Therapy takes spirituality out of the equation. In the Black community, if you're not talking in the church, if it's not within the four walls of the church, you don't need to be discussing it. And that's how growing up, that's what was in my head. And so therapy as an adult, I mean, I had some situations growing up in my life, I needed to see a therapist, but that was never suggested to me.
Right. Because you're not supposed to, because we look at it as a form of weakness.
Yes, that was, and looking back, I'm thinking as an adult, somebody should have offered therapy to me. I went through some really messed up stuff, but it was never offered. The church was offered, but therapy was never offered to me. And so now as a Black woman, I know the importance of therapy, but then there is even a higher taboo with Black men.
How about men in general?
Yeah, I just got finished talking to a man, and he said he's 48 years old and just went to his first therapy session because he's realized that something has got to change. And he thought that therapy was for rich white people. Those were his words.
Well, so Cy, on the other hand, former Marine, in the fire service, so a lot of trauma stuff that has seen that's up here in his lockbox. And therapy to him meant going to the wizard. I'm not going to a wizard. They make us go to the wizard here. I'm not going to a wizard. They can't fix that. I'm not going to talk about it. There's that, again, that negative connotation on therapy. Think about and this is just my experience, not of my friends and stuff. I'm not putting everybody in this lump, but think of marriage counseling. Women are more apt to go to marriage counseling than men. Not knocking men. Men in our world have been put in a place where they are not as free to express emotions. If they cry, then they're a weak man. If they do this, then they don't have a control in their family. If they do this, I mean, they have a lot of that pushback too. Just as much as women have we have our own issues on it. If we go to therapy, it's because, here we go again with the throat chakra. It's because we're crazy. We are overreactive. We are this, we are that. And sometimes just needs to come out.
I
I'm gonna
agree.
cough again.
So, Miss Ivy, we have had a very interesting week of discussion.
I loved it. I would love to hear some feedback.
Yes. What are we going to talk about next? You brought it up casually. What is next?
I'm going to talk about self-love, and she's going to talk about sex, baby.
Okay, we're doing this together.
Right? Yes.
We're not. Yes, we're going to meet together. There you go.
Self-love and talking about sex together. That sounds like, remember, this is all age channel, so we'll behave ourselves mostly.
I won't bring any examples. There we go.
But so next week, we're going to talk about really what I'd like to do on, because we're going on Tuesday now.
Right.
Let's talk about how can we feel love for ourselves. What can we do? Because I saw something recently. It was like taking a bath is not self-love.
We saw the same thing.
No offense.
I enjoy a nice
That is self-love.
bath.
That is me taking that time out of my day and out of the craziness because I love myself.
Yes.
To go give myself that bath.
Right.
So let's talk about sex, baby. No, self-love. And how, because I really believe all of the other stuff, the sex, baby, the everything else comes from self-love. And so it's going to be a fun conversation. Are you going to wear red or pink?
I don't think I have pink.
I don't think I do too, do I?
I don't. I have my work shirt is red.
No.
I have to look into it. So
well, everybody, wear your red, your pink. Be ready for some self-love, some fun, and maybe we'll do some giveaways.
Oh, what do you got to give away?
I got some pure love candles.
I guess I got some heart oil somewhere around.
You must tune in on Tuesday. Share it, comment.
Talk to us, interact. We love having people ask us questions and give their feedback while we're online.
I am so excited.
Yes.
I'm going to go craft some candles.
Okay.
So
now that you put it out there.
I know.
Thank you all for joining Rise Up with Ivy and Calla.
Where spirituality meets practicality.
Many blessings to you all. Bye-bye.